Good morning, everyone. To those here in the sanctuary and those joining us online, thank you for being part of this Good Friday service. Thank you to Scott for his ministry of music, and thank you to everyone who has stepped up to step outside of the box today for our service a little bit. Today we're moving gently through the story. We're going to hear a monologue. We're going to listen as Scott leads us through hymns that shape this day. We'll share in a choral reading, and later we'll take time for a quiet meditation. As you arrived, you received a nail. If you're worshiping from home, I invite you to find something small to hold, a nail, a coin, a stone, and we'll use it near the end of the service as a way of grounding ourselves in the meaning of this morning. Good Friday invites us to slow down, to sit with what's difficult, and to trust that God meets us even in the shadows. So take a breath, settle in, and let the stillness speak today. I am very grateful that you're here. Let's begin.
My name is Judas Iscariot. My name probably raises feelings of contempt and loathing in you. I was known as the apostle who betrayed Christ. But I ask you to consider my story. I do not ask for your forgiveness, as I know where my forgiveness comes. I was one of the first disciples, the original 12 that Jesus called to be with him in his ministry. The other 11 were Galileans. I was the only Judean. My father was Simon, a well-respected member of the Jewish society. When I met Jesus, I saw in him a means by which we could rid ourselves of the Roman bondage that we were suffering under. Christ trusted me and understood me, making me the keeper of the purse, the treasurer of our ministry. The other disciples were typical Galileans in that they were followers, awestruck by what was happening, and could not see the true potential of Christ the Messiah, the King of the Jews. I introduced my friend Simon the Zealot to Jesus after I told those who, like me, could see the vision that Christ represented for freedom, the fulfillment of the prophecy that the Messiah would come and lead his people out of their tribulations. Simon tried to talk to Christ and make him see the gift that had been placed upon him. Simon asked him to build up the people, and Christ responded that we did not understand, that the temple would be torn down and in 3 days built again. Christ just could not understand. Remember, I was there with Christ when he healed the sick and saw how the crowds responded to him. When he preached the Sermon on the Mount, thousands came to hear him and great crowds followed him. I remember one time when Mary had bought fine ointment and was washing Christ's feet, wasting the precious liquid while people were starving outside the door in the streets. I asked Christ how he could allow this wastefulness to occur when we could have sold the ointment and used the money for the poor. Christ chastised me and told me that the poor would always be with us, and it was good for Mary to waste the money on his comfort. That was when I realized that Christ could not grasp the destiny that he had laid out before him. And that was when I decided to make him accept his purpose. I knew within myself that if I forced Christ into the position, that the people would rise up to defend him. I had seen the miracles he had done and what we had done in his presence, so that I was certain that he would become the military leader to lead his people. Christ told us how he would go into Jerusalem for the Passover, and I knew that the time had come. I went to the Pharisees and I deceived them. I told them that I was discontented with Christ, and they asked me if I would help them to capture him. I nearly laughed out loud at the gullibility of the chief priests and scribes, as I knew that by seizing Christ and causing a public reaction, they would create the moment of freedom. They even offered me 30 pieces of silver. Could you imagine all the good we could do for the poor with those funds? So I took the silver and I told them that when the time was right, I would come and lead them to him. I wanted them to be able to arrest him and bring him before the crowds. Christ arranged for us to enter Jerusalem at the time of the Passover. I had the other zealots spread the word that Messiah was coming, so that when he entered Jerusalem, the crowds lined his entrance road, shouting Hosanna and placing palm leaves on the roadway in front of him as he rode in on the back of a donkey. I was elated because it was working, just like I had planned. Jesus told us that we would share the Passover, and after he wanted to go to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. But when we gathered for the supper, something happened that I did not understand. Christ took a bowl and a towel and called us to come and let him wash our feet. Peter at first refused. Christ said that he had to do it. He told us that to be master, we must be servants. I remember when I came forward, Jesus looked me in the eyes, and they showed such sadness that I felt uneasy. During the supper, Jesus was talking about being betrayed and that the disciples would abandon him. I was sure he was talking in metaphors. And then he handed me a sop of bread that he had dipped into a bowl between us and said, "Judas, go and do what you must do." I left, but I felt confused. I knew that what I was doing was the right thing. Later that evening, I led the high priests and a group of soldiers up to the garden where we saw Jesus praying. The other disciples were sleeping, and I walked up to Jesus and kissed him on the cheek. That was when Jesus asked me, "Judas, must you betray me with a kiss?" Betray him? I was helping him. Then the soldiers led him away and they beat him. I could not understand why he did not use his miraculous powers to call down the angels to smite them. The chief priests took him to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, to have him tried. Pilate questioned him and concluded that Jesus had done no wrong. The guards mistreated him. They hit him and stuck a crown made of thorns on his head so that the blood ran down his face. They wrapped him in a purple robe and mocked him, calling him King of the Jews. Pilate brought him out to the people, and I stood in grievous shock as the people cried out to crucify Christ. I couldn't understand. How could this be? Pilate offered the crowd Christ's life, as this was the season when the crowd could choose to release one condemned prisoner, and even though Pilate recommended that they free Christ, the crowd screamed to free a murderer in Christ's place. I kept hoping and waiting for Christ to rise up and be the Messiah, but he did nothing. I watched him crushed and beaten, and then they nailed him onto the cross. Even on the cross, Christ asked God to forgive the people, for they knew not what they do. It was then that I realized that I had been wrong in all my dreams and expectations. I could not go back to the other disciples, for they had sworn to kill me as the one who had betrayed Christ. I took the 30 pieces of silver back to the high priests, and I threw it at their feet, and they laughed at me. I knew that I had become the man who for all time would be loathed as the one who betrayed the Lord Jesus. Why would not matter, as all eternity would hate me and my name. There was nothing left for me to do but to take my own life. My despair was unbearable, so I hung myself. The high priest took the 30 pieces of silver I had thrown at their feet, and they bought a field where my body was dumped without even a decent burial. They named that field as the burial ground for those who died as strangers without family and funds, the first potter's field. I died desolate for my sin. But I ask you, how many of you have chosen your own way over Christ's way? How many of you have felt that you, not God, knew what was best? When the nails were driven into Jesus on the cross, I did not see the agony of Christ or hear the sound of the hammer's blows. I remember one time when I walked with Christ as his disciple, and we had come across a crowd who were going to stone a woman as an adulteress under Jewish law. Jesus had been asked if it was not right, and he had knelt on the roadway drawing circles in the sand. Without looking up, he said, "Let him among you who is without sin cast the first stone." The crowd dispersed one by one, until when Jesus looked up, the crowd had left, and the woman stood before him. He stated, "Go and sin no more." I was not part of the resurrection of Christ on the third day. I did not see him become the Messiah, for I had a vision of a conquering Lord that would crush our enemies. I had decided how the Lord was to save his people and chose to follow my dreams. How many of you have followed your own desires and not the desires of Christ in your lives? In the depths of my despair, I look upon the cross of Jesus, and although I played the role of a betrayer, I can still hear Jesus stating that his forgiveness was for everyone, and I know that he forgives even me. I can hear him saying, "Go and sin no more."
At last I lay down. have heard his story.
We 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 faithfully lament. We wanted power.
Power.
We wanted freedom.
Freedom.
We lament the desires that misled us. A kiss in the garden.
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 Betrayal breaks the night. The world trembles.
The heart fractures.
The silence shatters.
And mercy does not turn away.
I was helping him. I was helping him.
Helping him.
I was wrong.
Wrong.
We lament the
regrets
regrets we carry. What we meant.
What we missed.
What we broke.
What we cannot undo.
What we meant.
What we missed.
What we broke.
What we cannot undo.
What we meant.
What we missed.
What we cannot undo.
What we cannot undo.
What we meant.
What we missed.
What we broke.
What we cannot undo.
What we meant.
What we missed.
What we broke.
What we cannot undo.
We faithfully lament. The sky darkens.
The crowds turn.
The earth grows.
The holy is torn open.
Nothing
is
is untouched. Let the one without sin
Without sin.
Cast the first stone.
First stone.
mercy speaks even into our lament. Mercy for the broken, mercy for the blind, mercy for the betrayer, mercy for us all. Mercy for the broken, mercy for the blind, mercy for the betrayer, mercy for us all. Mercy for the broken, mercy for the blind, mercy for the betrayer, mercy for us all. Mercy for the broken, mercy for the blind, mercy for the betrayer, mercy for us all. Mercy for the broken, mercy for the blind, mercy for the betrayer, mercy for us all. Mercy for the broken, mercy for the blind, mercy for the betrayer, mercy for us all. We lament what is shattered.
We lament what is lost.
We lament what we cannot fix.
We lament what we still hope for.
We faithfully lament.
and know that He is God. Be still and know that He is God. Be still and know that He is God. Be still, be speechless. Be still and know that He is God. Be still and know that He's our Father. Come rest your head upon His breast. Listen to the rhythm of His unfailing heart of love, beating for the little ones, calling each of us to come. Be still, be still, be still.
We're going to do a guided meditation. And before we begin, I want you to know what will happen at the end of this meditation. So when we are finished, I will ring some chimes. And when you hear them, you are then welcome to leave the sanctuary silently whenever you feel ready. There's no need to rush, and take your time that the soul is asking for. As you leave, you may place the nail that you are holding into the basket by the door, and let that be an intentional act, a quiet offering, a release, a prayer made with your hands. So find a comfortable position and let your feet rest on the ground. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath slow down. I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that. And feel the nail in your hands. Cool, solid, real. Let it remind you that this story, this day is not far away. It touches the world we live in. It touches the world inside us. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Let the room fall away and focus in on my voice or the music, or let the quiet rise. Today we have stepped into a story of longing and loss, of choices made and choices regretted, of love misunderstood, of mercy that does not walk away. We heard a voice wrestling with regret. We heard the weight of the world breaking open. We felt the ache of things that cannot be undone. Let yourself enter that story now, not as a spectator, but as someone who knows what it is to be human. Hold the nail gently. Let it be a doorway into your own truth. Every one of us carries something. A word we wish we could take back. A moment we wish we could redo. A silence that lasted too long. A choice that shaped us in ways we did not expect. Let the nail represent one thing you carry, not everything. Just one thing that rises to the surface today. You do not need to name it out loud. You do not need to explain it. Just let it come. Let it sit in your hand. Let it sit in your heart. Breathe in and breathe out. Let the weight be felt, not judged, not fixed, just acknowledged. There are places in us that feel torn. Places where the fabric of our lives has stretched thin or frayed or split. A relationship that has shifted, a hope that has dimmed, a loss that still echoes, a question that has no answers. Let the nail represent that ache too. The place where you feel the tear. You do not need to mend it. You do not need to pretend that it doesn't hurt. Just let it be what it is. Let your breath move gently around it. Let your heart soften toward it. And let the silence hold it with you. Even on a day like this, there is a small, stubborn hope that refuses to disappear. It may be faint. It may be fragile. It may be nothing more than a whisper. But it is there. Hope for healing. Hope for forgiveness. Hope for courage. Hope for a way forward. Let the nail hold that hope too. The hope you barely dare to name. Let it rest in your hand like a seed. Small but alive. Breathe in and breathe out. In a few moments, when the chimes ring, you will be free to leave in silence. And as you go, you may place your nail in the basket by the door. Let that be an act of intention. Maybe it is a release, a loosening of something you've held too tightly. Maybe it is a surrender, a way of saying, I cannot carry this alone. Maybe it is a confession, a truth you are ready to stop hiding. And maybe it is hope, a prayer you are entrusting to God. Whatever it is, let it be honest. Let it be gentle. Let it be yours. You are not leaving your story behind. You are simply placing it in hands that can hold it. Let your breath be slow. Let your body be still. Let your heart rest. Hold the nail one last time and feel its weight. Feel what it has come to mean. And let the silence gather around you like a soft cloak, like a deep breath, like a place to lay your burdens down. I will ring the chimes now, and when you hear them, you may leave as you wish, as you are ready.